Welcome to self-discoverywisdom.com, formerly known as Self-Discovery Media. On these podcasts, you're going to hear people who speak from the heart. They've taken the journey in life. Many things have happened to them, but they've changed it to happening for them. And in their strength, their courage, they've discovered their abilities and their wisdom, and they are now sharing it here with you. Do enjoy each show. We bring it to you with love and knowing that it's going to help you on your journey of life. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Choose Positive Living right here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. I'm your host, Sarah Troy, and my guest today is Erin Leider-Pariser. Think of Paris, add an R. And we're going to be talking today about getting lost. 7 principles for trekking life with grace and other life lessons from a kick-ass woman's adventure travel. Love it. She says, grounded in Erin Leider-Pariser extraordinary career leading women's adventure travel across 7 continents. This guide is still living full life and shares life experience on personal transformation powered by exploring the wilds of nature and the soul. For nearly 30 years, Erin has designed women's adventure journeys that empower them to push their physical boundaries, bound through the ancient rituals, and give back the corners of the world they visit and learn more about themselves than they ever had imagined. Get Lost blends the vision and the personal insights gleaned from their hiking, biking, climbing trips through some of the world's most breathtaking landscapes and once-in-a-lifetime tales of dramas of the wild. In the interview, we're going to be talking about a lot of things about natural transforming that self-discovery and all those wonderful things that we do, whether it is physical or emotional travel. We all are on that self-discovery, taking a journey in life. So welcome to the show, Erin.
Oh, thanks, Sarah. Happy to be here. I love your platform.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That self-discovery, this is the reason why this network is called that, because we're all on a discovery of self in some way. And we have many chapters in our book of life. And, when a chapter comes to an end, sometimes just naturally, kids growing up, leaving home, or maybe a divorce, maybe a death, maybe an end of a career, it's always that what's next, where next? But we really need to know who we are right now before
Mm,
we decide what's next. And sometimes taking that journey of self-discovery is a wonderful way to reveal yourself to you.
mm. Yes, absolutely. I was absolutely lost in my life
Mm,
early on, and that's why my book is called Get Lost. I find that sometimes you have to get lost in order to
mm,
find yourself.
yeah.
And as they say, sometimes you have to hit rock bottom in order to come out and smell the roses. So I started this business. I was an exercise physiologist, which is a fancy word for trainer, personal trainer, in New York City. And I had many clients. I had a big studio that I worked out of. And my husband decided that he wanted to move to the country. We had 2 boys. So we moved to Greenwich, Connecticut, which is about an hour from the city.
Not too bad by
But
today's standards.
not too bad. But it was far by,
Mm,
to commute every day, to see
mm,
clients, to um, to keep my business growing. So that's what happened. I decided to take it on the road.
mm,
And so I asked some of my clients whether they want to take a trip. Maybe we'll go to Wyoming, maybe we'll go hiking. And it just turned into this like amazing bonding experience where everybody decided to bring a friend. They
mm.
said, can I invite a friend? Can I invite a friend? So by the time we were finished, there were 12 of us. And the next trip I took, I said, you know what? I'm going to bring some friends.
Mhm.
And it just jived. And it created this business called Sports Travel Adventure Therapy, which is an acronym for STAT.
Mhm.
And it came about because these are all the things that we do on a trip. And and I decided to take this quest myself
Mhm.
because I was looking for purpose in my own life. And I decided to bring everybody along for the ride.
having everybody else along for the ride gives you great reflection on yourself, right? With other people sharing, what they see, how they feel,
Mm,
helps reflect
hmm
back to how you're feeling and how you're seeing. When you just take the journey on your own, where there are times to take journeys on your own, go in and reflect
hmm
out. But when you have
hmm
other people there, they're kind of mirroring you. They're seeing things in
mm,
you that you're not seeing in yourself. And having that ability to be able to trust and be vulnerable with a group of people while going through this and being able to just let things out that you didn't even know were there,
mm.
is so
Well,
revealing.
it's the matter of saying it out loud,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's like saying it to the universe,
Hmm.
and it becomes a truth
Hmm.
and it becomes a reality because, we all have goals, we all have fears, we all have aspirations, but we don't express them enough. We don't talk about them out loud, especially in a group setting. So before anyone joins my trips, I ask them to think about something that they're manifesting in their life
Hmm.
and to bring something that represents that. And we have a little talking stick ceremony on the
Mm.
second night that we're together. And everybody gets very vulnerable. And
Hmm.
there's lots of tears. And, I tell everyone that there's no judgment here. I mean, you
No,
can bring whatever you want.
yes.
If you can be as deep as you want, you can be as shallow as you want.
Yeah.
If you want to lose 5 pounds, is that your intention? That's fine with me.
Hmm.
If you want to
It's
get
about the
better and
reveal, isn't
yeah,
it? It's
yeah.
kind of the discovery of what do you want? Because especially if we're in flux in life, or there's more pathways in front of you, you don't know which one to take. We need to take restock of ourselves again before we choose a path. But that reveal of yourself is something that's
hmm
so important because now you're actually knowing who you are, why you are, and how to walk forward. And that
hmm
gift of that vulnerability, trusting other people with it, I think is one of the most honest things we can do for ourselves.
And we're all human. We're all
Yeah.
going through the human thing. And, there's something about being together
Mm.
in a setting, outside your comfort zone, somewhere in the world that, we're hiking, biking, camping, not camping anymore. 30 years ago, we were camping, not anymore.
A little more luxury now, huh?
We're staying a little more luxury lodges. We've evolved.
Right,
We've come
exactly.
along.
And of course, when you've got to a certain age, things after a day of biking or hiking and things like this might feel a little sore, so you need a bed to
No,
sleep
no.
in.
We need a shower. We need a good shower.
Exactly. I know that with my son and his fiance, how they actually came together was she was kind of coaching him on through hiking, through everything else of him to find himself. And it ended up obviously leading to love and um, they're
Mm,
getting married this year. But it was that outdoors thing, taking
hmm
the cold dips or, they
hmm
weren't cycling so
hmm
much, but hiking. And there's something about being physical and being with nature that
hmm
allows things to open up so much more in you, isn't there?
100%, 100%. I am my best self in nature.
Mm,
And just, I mean, nature is my happy place. I mean, even nature could be anywhere you live.
yes.
Nature could be in New York City, where I happen to live. I mean, we do have Central Park, but
Hmm.
nature, I walk the streets, I walk the West Side Highway, and I find that it's very nature filled. I love going through all the little streets in Soho. I love
Mm,
going through in the West Village. And that to me is a calm place. You wouldn't think New York City was
right.
calm, but to me it is.
Yes.
It's like the chaos and the calm.
Yeah. It's connecting to the energies, and the energies are kind of telling their story. Each street you go down has a different energetic story, and
Totally.
and it
And
kind
you
of
notice
reveals it.
something different
Mm,
I could notice something different every time I walk that street.
yes. And isn't that lovely? Because you've opened yourself up to be aware to it. And then so
100%.
therefore you when you go down that street, there's a sense of kind of excitement or wonderment. of what you will learn today. And so many people, may take that same street every single day and they become humdrum or nose
Yeah.
in the phone or head down and they're not paying attention. Just because it's the same street every day doesn't mean that there isn't a different story there today.
Mm. Yeah. That's so beautiful. It's so true. Yeah. I really relish in that. I try to do that every day. I notice things on my walk every day that are different.
Sorry, got a hair in my eye here, poking my eyes out. Yeah, it doesn't matter where, I mean, nature, obviously, if you could be amongst, trees and breeze and water and green and all of that,
Mhm.
that's absolutely wonderful because the signature of that nature is wonderful. But yeah, nature is I think just getting outside of yourself in order to connect with yourself.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
we could walk through the concrete jungle. Okay, maybe the actual buildings aren't saying anything to you, but just the people walking by, the people on the street, somebody getting a delivery, making contact with people, a smile,
Mhm.
a
Yeah,
hello,
smile.
right?
Yeah, it's beautiful. Makes my
Engagement.
day. Being
Hmm.
kind.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think, one of the problems with kindness is that with some people having a hard time with it is because they're not yet being kind to self. And you
Hmm.
need to be kind with yourself to understand the impact that kindness has.
Hmm. Yes. I mean, it's like, the Ted Lasso story.
Hmm.
Do you know? I mean, his sincerity, his optimism, his beautiful way of dealing with the world. I mean, that's why that series is so
Yeah.
popular. It's about friendship. It's about relationships. It's about teamwork.
Mm.
We're all in this together.
Yes, one big village, right? It's only as
One
strong as
big
everyone's
village.
participation. But I always draw the analogy of we're each an instrument in discovery, and we learn how to play that instrument, and we can play it many ways. But when we come to an orchestra, we've got to bring our strength and our collectiveness with that
Hmm.
orchestra, and to harmonize in a way that then transcends the gathering of us, all of us together. But we
Hmm.
can't go to that orchestra with, broken strings or, music we haven't learned yet. So part of our self-discovery is discovering how awesome we are, how flawsome we are,
Hmm.
and what
Hmm.
gift we really are that maybe we
Hmm.
haven't tapped into yet.
Hmm. Well, that brings me to my 7 principles of trekking life with grace.
Hmm.
I mean, after 30 years of leading women's adventure travel, I find that, the wisdom that I've gathered along the way is first and foremost, nix the competition.
Hmm.
There is, it doesn't matter if you're in the front of the hike, in the back of the hike, in the middle of the hike. We're all going to make it to the end,
Yes.
slowly but surely. The next one is walk with integrity.
Hmm.
And walking with integrity means doing the right thing even when no one is watching.
Exactly. I like that
The
one.
next one is no judgment because
Hmm.
it doesn't really define them, but it defines you.
Hmm.
Um, Start with effort, finish
Hmm.
by grace.
Mm.
When I plan these trips, I dot all my I's, I cross all my T's, I hire all the guides, I make sure that everything's perfect. I get on the plane and then I say, all right, now let me have the grace. Let
Yes.
me have the good weather.
Yes.
Let me have the good flight schedules.
Hmm.
Let us all make our flights.
Yeah.
Let us have no layovers. I mean, these are things I can't control. It's like the serenity prayer,
Yes. Yes.
right? I mean, just control what you can control and
Mm.
have the wisdom to know the difference.
Don't
Um,
sweat it.
don't sweat it. Yes. The next one is mark your words,
Mm.
which is really personal because I actually have power words that I've accumulated over the years. I don't know how they became my power words,
Hmm.
but they are my power words. And they are clarity, consciousness, equilibrium,
Hmm.
effort, grace, intention, integrity. And the last one, the eighth one, which is above your head and it's love. And it
Hmm.
just rains down and makes me feel calm.
Hmm.
I sort of like, everything is in sevens because of the seven chakras.
Yes.
And yeah, I mean, it's just I encourage your listeners, to notice like when you relate to a word or when you
Yeah.
just sort of like have this, you know, feeling when it comes over you when you recite a word.
Mm.
And I just call them my power words. So
They're also
Everybody
accountable
should
words.
have them.
Yes, exactly. But they're also accountable words. Integrity, right? This is not
Yes.
measured by somebody else's idea of integrity. This is measured
No.
by yours, right?
Yes.
You can't knowingly hurt someone else because that hurt you will feel, right? When you are in that loving integrity. And I think that's what we have to realize is every word has power, whether it's good or bad. And by speaking the good words to ourselves and living up to them, but not by anyone else's comparison or expectation, but your own. I
Mm.
spoke my word, my actions were my integrity today. I own it. And, we all drop the ball now and again. And it's like, okay, I dropped the ball today. My integrity wasn't quite in the right place. I acknowledge it and I bring it back. But,
Mm.
there's another word I love, which is a word that I heard a few years ago and I've adopted is flawsome. We're all
Mm.
like a broken bowl that we've
Oh,
put back
flawsome.
together.
F-L-A-W.
Yeah,
Flawsome.
flawsome.
Ah, I
And
love that.
you put the bowl back together with self-love,
Hmm.
right? And now, because it's being put back together with self-love, it can take love. And the more
Mm.
love you put in there, the more love that exudes over. But we've all got
Mm.
some sort of quirk or flaw,
Mm.
and I think it's just be awesome with it, never in a
Mm.
malicious or a way that's negative, but
Hmm.
the positive. We're all cracked bowls in some way, but
Well,
those
it's like
cracks are
wabi
given us that
sabi.
journey. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like wabi sabi.
Yes.
Do you know wabi sabi?
Yeah.
It's like the beauty of the imperfect.
And I think a diamond is worth more money when it has an imperfection. Yet we
Mm.
hold ourselves up to this standard of perfection. Whose? Whose? And it's so unrealistic and
Mm.
delusional to think that we have to be up this high standard all the time. And then if you manage to reach it, then people start pulling you down. So
Mm.
why put yourself in that place in the first place? Right?
Mm.
You have perfect moments in your life, perfect moments, but you don't
Yes.
live it perfectly from day to day. You wouldn't enjoy those
Mm.
moments so much if you did.
Mm. Well, that my next takeaway is trekking life with grace is intuition.
Yes.
Yes, we all have intuition
Hmm.
and we have to learn how to listen to it and actually be quiet enough to listen to it.
Yes.
It's very important. And I've had some situations in my life where I hushed up my intuition and it didn't go right.
Exactly. I call that the soul compass. And that
Yes,
soul compass is where the
yes,
wisdom is. And if it
yes,
says no to something, I'm not going to argue. It said
yes,
no. I don't need to know why. It just says no. Right.
yes.
And if I go into my head and my head wants to talk myself into it, guaranteed there'll be something that will go wrong,
Mhm.
something
Yes,
that wasn't for me. Trust that gut, that heart soul
yes,
compass, because it never lies to you. It's there to guide you on that path.
yes. Well, that's the compass that, actually led to writing this book
Hmm.
is that I went skiing. I live in Aspen part-time, so I went skiing with my husband on a bright sunny day. And I had just taken a yoga class and was really loose. And I just, felt really great. And I said, all right, I'll go out for a couple runs. And my intuition was like, I don't think so. It's not a great idea. You're so loose. You're feeling good. All your ligaments are open. And I said, no, 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 it's sunny. I'm going to go anyway. And sure enough, I got hurt.
Hmm.
And, I fractured my tibial plateau and I was down for 8 weeks.
Hmm.
And this was 2020. And then COVID came.
Yes.
And so I was really grounded.
Hmm.
And this is how this book became about because I was feeling like really, I was having a pity party
Hmm.
and feeling very sorry for myself. And I decided when you can't get out there, you have to get in there.
Exactly.
So I
Like,
had some grateful moments of like all these trips that I've taken with all these crazy and wild women. And why don't I write about them?
exactly. Extend the story. That's what I
Yeah.
call a book, extending the story,
Hmm.
which I've done, a couple of times and doing even more with these podcasts with people I interview, and then
Hmm.
taking it into something where that story extends, which I think is really
Hmm.
important. But also when we look at COVID, yes, for people that became very sick or people that lost loved ones, it was quite horrific. But for many people, it was a gift of pause,
Hmm.
of review and renew and look that, do I want to go in that direction? How
Hmm.
many people sat down to write that book, to look at their lives?
Hmm. Hmm.
This is the gift I've been given of time right now to be
Hmm.
able to truly reflect. And when you take
Hmm.
people out on that hike, they get that. But as you couldn't take them out there to do that, this was then the time to take everything you've learned and put it in a book. So it becomes
Yeah.
that guide for others, which is
Yeah.
important. Nothing
Yeah.
is
This
ever
is,
for no
yeah.
reason, right? There's always a reason behind
There
things.
are no accidents
No,
in life.
no.
No.
And
Only synchronicities.
exactly. And that's up to us to pay attention. Um, I've just put out a book called Our Forgotten Children, and there's 15 of us
Mm.
in that, and it's all around what we need to change around families and
Yeah.
children. And
Yes.
I decided, 5 years ago, I wanted to do this, and the timing wasn't right. And last year, I said, I'm doing it. Went back to all the
Hmm.
people I'd interviewed around children, and only two of
Hmm.
them could do it because they'd retired or moved on or done something else. And I thought, well, come on, universe. And then all of a
Hmm.
sudden, people that are coming to me for a podcast were perfect for the book. And so,
Mm.
they
Congratulations on that.
yeah, international bestseller, and it's a fundraiser as
Yes.
well. It raises money for the
Wonderful.
organizations they support. So it's an awareness, a careness, and a support book. But it came about just by universe. You've told me it's the right time to show me the people, and then
Hmm.
recognizing the people when
Hmm.
they're speaking, recognizing there was something there, and then just the conducting of it. But that's I couldn't have found those people intentionally, if you know what I
Mm.
mean.
Yeah,
It,
I know what you
it
mean.
was
Yeah.
the universe saying, I've got the right people for you. Just keep on doing
Hmm.
what you're doing. They will be
Hmm.
presented.
Hmm.
And if we
Well,
can get
that's
out
what
of our own way, it
happened.
happens, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
that's what
yes.
happened with this book.
Yeah.
People came to me when I was, I put the idea out in the universe
Hmm.
and I said, I think I may write this book.
Yes.
And then people were just there and said, I have an agent for you.
Hmm.
And, this agent I spoke to, and he goes, I have an editor for you.
Mm.
And then, it's just like
The
everything
encouragement.
sort of
Yeah.
came into place.
Yeah. And it's lovely
Yeah.
when that happens, because
Well,
it's like
yeah.
it's the universe telling you you're on the right path. Keep on going.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to make sure
Mm-hmm.
all the people you need on this path are there.
Mm-hmm.
Just like you
Mm-hmm.
organize a trek, right? You got
Mm-hmm.
to make sure the hotel, the flights, everything
Mm-hmm.
else is there. Well, that's what the universe does for us
Mm-hmm.
when we decide to take a venture that
Mm-hmm.
is unknown to us,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's unknown to what to expect. And then all of a sudden, all those people are there to
Mm-hmm.
say, here's your support, here's your
Mm-hmm.
support. And it's
Mm-hmm.
lovely when you see the end product. I'm very fascinated with the design of your book.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's very, very different. Uh,
Well, the cover is actually all my ceremonial talking sticks.
Wonderful.
I photographed them in a studio after 30 years of having these sticks on my wall. I
Mm.
took them all down and I photographed each one of them, and we made a beautiful mosaic. Thank you
Hmm.
for noticing that.
No, definitely very, very different. And
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
made me look twice and made me really look at the book.
Hmm.
And
Well,
and that's the
that's
good
what
thing.
everybody brings, all these
Yes.
little things that people bring to represent their manifestation.
Yes.
They're very, personal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank you.
and I gained that guidance right when the time is right and everything seems to fall into place. And there's a certain amount of rationale says you've got to do it this way, you've got to do that, you've got to do that. And then your soul is saying, uh-uh.
Mm,
And then you go completely in a different direction. And then it just, yes, that's right.
mm,
That's right.
mhm.
Again, it's listening in, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, my last trekking life with grace, my last rule is actually the most important one, which you do beautifully, is embrace your community.
Mm,
And I think that that's my message really of the book is we have so much loneliness in this world. We have so much
Oh,
suicide in this world. And we
yes.
have, it's because you don't have a community.
No.
And it really is important. I mean, a family unit is important, but a community
Yes.
of people, your friends, the firefighters, the store owners, the people on the street that you say hello to every day that live on your block, your
Mm.
neighbors. You have to, especially during COVID. I
Yeah.
mean, I think
They were
that
the
that was
lifeline,
really, they
right?
were our lifeline.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was hurt here and I was on crutches, I couldn't even walk my dog.
Hmm.
And I really relied on my community here, and they came through.
I mean, I grew up with that. I think I'm probably one of the last generations that could go out, like a four
Yes.
or 5 year old with my doll's pram and wander the
Mm-hmm.
neighborhood and no one worried. Because,
Mm-hmm.
everybody would look out for each other and you didn't have so much malice in the world that
Mm-hmm.
we seem to have now. And now if we don't see our kids in the yard, we panic. And
Mm-hmm.
I thought, well, why can't we have all of the neighbors? Let know
Mm-hmm.
Joey's out playing, keep an eye on him for me, and then everybody be aware. And
Mm-hmm.
and Joey feel safe enough to go knock on someone's door if
Yeah.
something's happened or if they just want to say hello because the community all knows each other. We've
Mm-hmm.
lost that skill, and I
We
think we
have.
need to bring it back because we're
Mm-hmm.
isolating ourselves and we are pack people. We need to have people around us. That
Yeah.
village mentality needs to be there.
I actually grew up like that too.
Mm.
I'm almost your age. I'm 65.
I'll
So
be
it's
6 months will be 70.
that
Love big
that's
7-0.
that is a privilege and an honor.
That's, I think, when you get older, you do understand, don't you?
Yes, you do.
I
Yes, you
used to
do.
be the hare, I had the vision, want to do it, let's do it now. And now I'm the tortoise, and I'm enjoying all the people and all the experiences I have along the way, right?
Mm.
I'm not in
Yes,
that
you are.
hurry anymore. And that's
Hmm.
the beauty of it, because when we slow down and pay attention, that's when we truly see everything that we thought was missing, everything that we thought was no longer there. We come across it when we slow down and become intentional
Hmm.
and we truly participate in our lives. We've become so much of download the app and order this and order that, the external life, but that
Hmm.
internal life of actually being engaged and being intentional, feeling it, feeling it.
There's just so much outside source here now. I
Yes.
mean, with social media and when I started this business 30 years ago, there was no internet.
No.
So
No.
I actually had to write out my brochures and send them through snail mail.
Yes.
And I had to go to these places physically and
Mm,
interview my guides and
mm.
look at the lodges. I couldn't see anything
No,
online.
no,
So
no.
it's a very different world.
Well, we physically connected more, but I think that we give technology a bad rap, and it's how we look at it and how we use it.
Oh
Even
no,
with
it's
the
wonderful
AI,
now.
all of these things are freeing up time for us by being faster and reaching further. And
Hmm.
it's like, how do we use it? As you said, going for a walk down a concrete street, it's that you can still be in nature, the nature of the
Hmm.
people and the atmosphere around you. It's the same with this medium. We can still
Hmm.
connect, right? It's much nicer to be across the table having a cup of coffee or a
Hmm.
glass of wine with someone or breaking bread. I love that. That's my favorite thing to do. But I'm not going to miss out on these conversations, these
Hmm.
incredible conversations from people around the world because it's on a machine. Let the
Hmm.
machines provide for us those platforms where we can reach and connect even more.
Yep, we're lucky. And it's really, I mean, it's a COVID prize. I
Yeah.
mean, really Zoom became,
Yes.
the mode of communication. And we really had a lifeline during
Yeah.
COVID.
Yes. I was using Zoom for a couple of years beforehand because the first 5 years I only did audio and then somebody talked me into doing video. First thing
Hmm.
out of my mouth was, who wants to watch this old bag? Talking to someone.
Hmm.
Then the back of my head gave me a whack and going, it's not about you, it's about the content. Right. So now it's an audio and video. But
Hmm.
yes, I think what I really loved, all those talk show hosts when they're used to having people 5 minutes, big spotlight, fake laugh, and off they go. And here they're interviewing people in their homes They're more relaxed. They're doing it through
Hmm.
Zoom. They went into deeper conversations, more
Hmm.
organic conversations. And in a lot of ways,
Hmm.
I think they became better because
Hmm.
of it.
Hmm. Yes. Yeah. We're all better because of it. We can
Choice
embrace
again.
it, you know,
Yeah.
yeah, we can embrace what we want. We can discard what we don't want.
Now, the people that sign up for your trick, do you actually know them? Or are these people that, like,
Hmm.
I just want to be a part of this and have the experience?
No, this is a word of mouth. You have to
Mm,
know me. You have to know me within a couple degrees of separation.
right,
So, traveling with somebody is really personal. And, I can't, I have to, there's an interview process.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, and
In
there's a
order to be
lot
that
of
vulnerable,
there's a
right,
lot
and
of
repeat
repeat
people.
clients.
Yes, yes, I
And
can. And
that
then
gives
they bring a
that,
friend. Yeah,
but that gives me so much
yeah.
gratitude because,
Yes,
I actually put together friendships that
yes.
last a lifetime. And so
Beautiful.
after over the 30 years, people cycle in and out.
Yeah.
And then they say, oh, that one's coming on this trip this time. Oh, that one. Oh, yes, I was a roommate with her last time. And it's beautiful to see how everybody interacts with each other.
You're creating a sisterhood that
I
you,
am creating a
yeah,
sisterhood, yes, a connection.
yeah.
I'm really a gatherer,
Yes,
and
yes.
I'm a gatherer in my life. I love to have,
Mm,
people together. I love introducing my friends
mm-hmm.
to each other, and then I love the fact that they become friends.
Yes.
Yeah, I
And
never like, yeah.
you're not territorial over them.
I'm not territorial,
No,
I
no.
I don't have FOMO. I'm like, I'm so happy that you guys connect.
Yes. Because it's an expansion of that energy, expansion of that vibe, right? And, kind of look at a spider's web and how it's all connected. There's a center point that starts it all. But then this web is all interactive with each other, but everyone is connected. And I think
Yeah.
that is beautiful. That's what we need in the world is that connection.
And then
A
even
trust.
after a trip, on an email chain,
Yeah.
everyone will, just after like 2 weeks, like 1 or 2 weeks after a trip, everyone's like really connected. So you get like chains and chains of emails
Mm,
and texts, and
yeah.
it's just beautiful. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's
Rather like,
also transformational. I mean,
yes.
I have, I've really, I'd like to think I've touched women's lives
Hmm.
and really for the better and changed women's lives. I went to a book signing in Arizona last weekend, and I had some of my posse there, my Arizona posse. And one of the women got up and shared a story that was just so touching that really, I was like, that's so nice. And it really changed the trajectory of her life. Like she had come
Pivoting.
with me.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, she had come with me to Cambodia, and we had a philanthropic endeavor that we went to one of the uh, yards where the um, children it was an orphanage,
Right.
and we brought them school supplies.
Mm,
And she couldn't get over just the fact that, we brought them school supplies, but who's going to do it next?
right.
This is not a like
Yes.
a business plan.
No.
And so on the way home from the trip, she wrote up a business plan for, a future business that she was going to start called the
Hmm.
Pencil Promise. And
Ah,
she did. And she
wonderful.
ran it for the next 10 years.
Fabulous.
So just from that trip alone, she
Yeah.
said, her whole life changed.
And
And
you
that's
never
just
know. I mean,
been wonderful.
there's a guy that I'd interviewed that used to have his CDs made in India, and he was over there on a business trip, and somebody said, "I want to show you something." And he took him up a more rural area, and he said, "Like, this is a small town, a village. Here is the school. No running water, no toilets."
Hmm.
Right? So people have got to hold it all day, and teachers have got to hold it all day. He sold his business and started investing in schools by putting in plumbing and putting in toilets and running water so that the
Mhm.
kids didn't either not go to school or whatever. You never know when something's going to touch you in such a way that becomes that pivot, that
Mhm.
calling. And we can have
Mhm.
many callings in life, right?
Mhm.
But I think when you get that one, that calling, and you everything you have no excuses. You can't talk yourself out of it. You know you have to do it. And I
Mm,
love it when it comes about from just that self-discovery of being in the right energy at the right time with the right influence,
mhm.
right?
Yeah. I'd love to share another story of one of my
Hmm.
clients. One of my travelers experienced a personal kind of success during a trip along the ancient Camino Trail. I'm going to just read it for you because she shared it with me,
Mm.
and I want to share it with your
Hmm.
listeners. Um, so we did the Camino, a pilgrimage. We hiked the Portuguese Camino, where we joined walkers, hikers, even horseback riders, heading north along the Atlantic coast, just like Queen Isabel did in the 1300s.
Mm.
This particular walk through terraced fields, lush forests, plenty of vineyards, and peaceful villages represented everything Stat is about, a sacred bonding journey. Walking for nearly 14 miles together all day, every day, was the ultimate bonding experience.
Mm.
We shared our stories while still taking time alone to reflect on ourselves. But this client came with a heart full of hope for her son, who would soon be released from prison.
Mm.
He suffered from addiction since his teen years after he was prescribed painkillers after getting his wisdom teeth removed.
Mm.
Percocet led to Oxy, which then led to heroin. A painful, familiar story we have all heard and
Oh
seen,
yeah.
unfortunately. The worst of it all was having to have your son arrested for stealing and then have to testify against him in court.
Mm.
After 3.5 years in prison, he began to heal. And then her mom died. So she came on the trip to heal, gather her strength, and become grounded with women she hoped would be along a spiritual path.
Mm.
At the end of the world, as they call it in Finisterre, she sprinkled her mother's ashes and prayed for her son to come back clean and sober, while also sending healing vibes to a friend suffering from cancer. And it all came to fruition.
Lovely.
She claims they were her miracle.
Hmm.
And it's so just gratifying,
Yeah. Yeah.
to hear her story and
Hmm.
to hear her tell it.
Yes. That's the thing is that we never know. Like when these shows go out, I don't know how people are going to listen to them, where, when, what, or what they're going to get out of it is out of my
Right,
hands, right?
right,
But
right.
all we can do is do what we do with love, with
Mm-hmm.
intentional love, and put it out with that love vibration, and
An
people will
open
get
heart.
an open heart. You can't
Mm-hmm.
have love without an open heart, right? You can't even
I
know your
guess not.
soul wisdom without an open heart. And that open heart is key. And when you open your heart to let all that love in, then, as I said, it finds its way out and it will touch who it's meant to touch. When it's meant to touch them. And I think that's if we can let go sometimes and just trust that what
Mm-hmm.
we're doing, it's right. Our core has
Mm-hmm.
told us it's right. And
Mm-hmm.
now and again, you get to hear the feedback of
Mm-hmm.
how it's changed someone's life,
Mm-hmm.
and very often you don't know. You just it was out with love. Hope it's being received with love and doing what it needs to do. But it's nice to get feedback of the
Mm-hmm.
impact that it's had because it just
Yeah.
shows you, yes, you're on the right track. Keep on going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I run into people, I run into friends every day, and they say, one day I'm going to come on one of your trips. And I say, you're going to come when you're ready.
Yes, exactly.
You're
Yes,
going to
because
come.
it is a commitment, both physically,
Absolutely.
mentally, emotionally, financially. It's a
Mm-hmm.
commitment. And you
Mm-hmm.
don't want people that are reluctant there because that vibe will upset the rest of the vibration. And you want people, free will. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'm such a believer in free will.
Mm-hmm.
We can give you the inspiration, which is the invitation, but it's up
Mm-hmm.
to you if you pick that invitation up.
Mm-hmm. It's also the biggest part of my job is to get the vibe right,
Right.
is to get the chemistry of the group right.
Yes. Yes.
Because I tell you, like many years ago in the beginning, maybe 25 years ago, I organized a trip to Santa Fe and I didn't get the vibe right.
Mm,
And God and the universe told me
yes.
that this was a disaster because we checked into our hotel in a little outside of Santa Fe and we went to dinner. And by the time we got back, our rooms were all ransacked.
Oh my God.
They took cameras, they took
Oh.
wallets, they took every, like things
Mm,
that, whatever. And I just stood there and I said, now what the hell was this?
Yes.
Like, why did this happen? Like,
Right.
and
Yeah.
you try to go through it and you blame yourself. You
Yeah,
go,
of course.
all right, maybe I didn't give the bellman a big enough tip. Maybe, but then, really I just came down with it and I just said, I didn't get the chemistry right because there was just a lot of personalities that just didn't jive.
And that
And
interruption, it's like nails on the chalkboard,
yeah,
right? It
yeah, yeah,
interrupts the
yeah,
frequency.
yeah,
And that frequency, that harmony, it can have its crescendo moments, it can move,
yeah,
it can dance, it can flow. But if it's suddenly like the needle on the record, it can totally
yeah.
destroy the song.
But I have to tell you, I'm happy that that happened because it
It
hasn't
was a
happened
lesson.
again. And
Exactly.
it was a good learning piece for me early on.
Mm.
And some of those girls on that trip still come with me. I
Hmm.
mean, it wasn't a deal breaker. I mean, it was an incident that happened, and
Out of your
some
control. Yep. Yep.
out of my control. Some of them dealt, better than others.
Yes. Yes.
But that's diversity, and
But that's
yeah.
also a good lesson for who doesn't deal with it well.
Oh yeah.
It's a good lesson to you. How could you have handled this differently? And
Hmm.
because you are maybe in the blame game and feel that you have to blame somebody for it, what is it about your own life that you're not addressing? That
Hmm.
you need to look at your own choices and your own shoot, so to speak,
Hmm.
and sort it out.
Hmm.
Otherwise, we're imposing it on other people. So sometimes our reactions can be a surprise to us, and at the same time, it's a lesson. Deal with it.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That was a lesson.
Mm.
That was a big lesson. Yeah.
Yes, and just because one is in sync and one is in the flow doesn't mean things aren't going to happen. It's just that because you're in flow and everybody else is in the same vibe, you handle it with grace. You
Hmm.
know what to do because no one's getting
Hmm.
flustered. Right?
Hmm.
And I think that's the important thing is how do we handle things? Yes, we can get upset. Yes, we can get mad and angry, but be mad and angry over the situation, not over somebody else in your vicinity. Spend it,
Hmm.
release it, now do something else about it.
Hmm. Yes. Very, very true.
We are human. We are going to have those reactions, but we've got to be careful and accountable as how we react to people, which I think is really important. And,
Yeah.
had this been at the end of the trek, probably would have been a totally different reaction because
No, it
because
was,
people
yeah,
would have gelled,
exactly.
right? And
Yeah. Yeah.
so it's again that weird timing that the universe gives us.
Hmm.
So, there was a
Hmm.
lesson learned for everybody there, right?
But it's also the things you can't control
Mm.
are like in retrospect are just, like I had when I went to Colombia, I went to Colombia with a group and it was a really rugged trek. This was called the
Yes.
Lost City Trail. And, it's like a rite of passage for
Hmm.
Colombians. And I decided to take a group there because it sounded like a really cool thing to do.
Hmm.
And we were trekking along and it started to rain. And I'm not talking about just drizzle rain.
No, no,
This was
torrential.
torrential downpours.
Yes.
And in Colombia, they get torrential downpours.
Yes.
So we're trekking along and we had to cross a river. And one of my fast hikers was up ahead and she got across the river, but with the help of the guides, but we didn't. Like there were some of us that didn't get across the river. And it was a 3 hour wait to get across the river.
We had
So
to wait for
here
the
I
waters to go
am.
down. Hmm.
Yep. So here I am. I'm like, oh my God, I hope my fast hiker's okay. I
Yes.
can't believe she got across. But she was okay. 3 hours later, she's plopped herself in a little village and used the universal sign of a smile.
Yeah,
Um, and she was okay. And she just waited for us. But again, something I can't control. And
exactly.
it was really anxiety. I mean, I had real anxiety. It's like,
Yes.
oh no, I didn't lose anybody yet. Again, get lost. She was
Yes.
lost.
Well, she wasn't lost. She was just not found.
She was. Oh
Um,
boy.
I think we need to give ourselves sometimes the gift of just getting lost in who we are, getting lost somewhere, and just saying, okay, I'm completely lost. I have nowhere I'm going, blind, deaf, and dumb in order to hear, see, and feel. Show me the way, and just put one foot in front of the other and be in discovery, be in
Hmm.
wonderment, because it's okay to get lost. Just don't stay
Mm.
lost.
Yes, that's a good point. Yes.
And we talk about when people have a great experience. "So I got lost in the moment, right? I got lost in the feeling." And it's always spoken as a good thing. So kind of
Hmm.
getting lost is, I think, somewhere is a great way of finding yourself.
Hmm. Yes.
So you're still doing all these treks?
Well, I'm sort of slowing down a little bit. I've been doing them for 30 years and I have now two grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm going to do them on a sporadic basis now.
Yeah.
And so yeah, still doing them, but not, I used to do them 4 times a year,
Wow.
winter, spring, summer, and fall. And then I sort of came down, I did longer trips twice a year.
Yeah.
And so I'm still on that twice a year.
Mm-hmm.
And I just came back from Indonesia from 2.5 weeks in the Raja Ampat Islands.
Mm.
Not sure in West Papua New Guinea.
Yeah. No,
Um,
it sounds fabulous.
it was spectacular. I've never gone that far.
Uh-huh.
So this was a 2.5 week trip. So this was a commitment.
Mm-hmm.
And it was amazing. I mean, it was 14 of us, and we really bonded.
Nice.
14 days together. So just coming off that trip, and I'm just sort of, moving forward.
Mm-hmm. My daughter is a big traveler. I did all my traveling BC before children. So I did all my traveling then. And my daughter
Mm.
is a huge traveler. She's been to Cambodia. She's
Oh,
just come
good.
back from Mexico, and where was she? El Salvador and somewhere
Oh,
else. And she goes off on
gorgeous.
her own very rarely. I mean, she did go to
Oh.
Cambodia with another girl. She met up with another girl. Um,
Hmm.
but, I white light her like crazy because she goes into places that generally a person, especially a woman, shouldn't go in on her own. But for her,
Mm.
she works hard so that she can take a couple of months off at the beginning of every year and go traveling. Because
Work
to
hard,
her,
play hard.
exactly, that play hard is
Hmm.
something that is her substance of life, the travel. And it's her spirit needs to fly. Her spirit needs to experience. And she's like a
Mm.
butterfly. She kind of pollinates her personality everywhere. And people from all over the world, when are you coming back? You've always got a bed
Oh.
here. And it's because she's one of those people that just loves life and
Hmm.
switches that on in other people, and they want to be
Hmm.
around her. So I'm
Yes.
envious. I'd love to do that, but not at my age. Um, just because, things, grandchildren, busy, and
Hmm.
and also, would I be as free today as I was when I traveled way back then?
Hmm.
We didn't have internet, we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have any of that. And but people were just more engaging, I think, because you could go to a coffee bar, sit there, and then
Hmm.
people would go, "Where are you from?" And the conversation would start, and it
You could
was
still do
lovely.
that. You could
I
still do
could,
that.
I could. I
Yeah.
think more, more into the luxury now. Kind of.
Yeah.
Um, I
There's
like
a
to go
beautiful
places and it's
luxury
lovely.
lodge. There's a beautiful luxury lodge in Canada called Clayquot Lodge, Clayquot Sound.
Is that the one on the island, or is that
It's on the island in
right?
like off
Yes,
Vancouver Island.
yes,
I
yes.
did a
I've
trip there many years ago when it first opened. It's like glamping. It's like
yeah.
glamping. Yeah. And it's so special. It's such a special place.
Well, the islanders, I live here on the island and I love the island.
Yes.
I moved
Yes.
from Vancouver, which just for me was getting
Oh,
too
okay.
static, too busy.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I've got two children over there, and I go over and see them and friends, have a great visit, get back on that ferry to come home, and it's
Mm-hmm.
and my
Mm-hmm.
daughter lives in Nanaimo, so about an hour and 40 minutes away over the Malahit Mountain,
I
and
love it.
The drive is beautiful. Unless, I
Hmm.
was driving in snowy rain the other day, not so beautiful, but when the
Hmm.
weather is nice, it's beautiful. And the vibe on the island is wonderful.
Mm.
And there's so
Oh, we
much
had
to
a
do here.
blast.
Hmm.
Oh, we had a
Yeah.
blast there. That was spectacular.
Yeah.
And
I love
even,
it.
we went up to Calgary. I did heli hiking
Hmm.
up in the Bugaboos. I just love Canada. I love it.
It's got some great places to go, and we're quite laid back. And I think that's
Mm,
the thing about it. A lot of people love coming here because they can go and explore. It's not about the rush. It's just about the experience.
hmm. Yeah,
So I think that's important.
that's
It's
wonderful.
important that people are willing to explore and have an experience, isn't it?
Yes, yes. And it's important to always look back and in order to move forward.
I
It's,
completely agree.
it's it's not where it's where you've been,
Yes.
not where you are.
And I say that to people all the time when they're in, kind of in recovery from something. You'll come to a pause. This doesn't mean you've come to an end. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong. All
Hmm.
the universe wants you to do is reflect on how far you've come, who
Yes.
you are now. Take stock of who you are now, and then the road that is before you, you will see more clearly. And
Hmm.
sometimes we need those pauses to reflect. I don't think we do enough reflection.
I try. I think that people are trying more now.
And hopefully they will do more, and it's like
Hmm.
the static outside. I've got one wonderful monk I interview, Michel Parcel. He takes people into Times Square to meditate. And he said,
Mm.
it's all very well meditating in quiet, but
Hmm.
how to center yourself to be the mountain amongst the chaos and be
Hmm.
still. And I think
Well, it
that's an
comes
art we
from
still learn.
within. You have
Yes,
to understand that it
exactly.
comes from within. You can't, like, I'm a meditator,
Hmm.
so I can meditate anywhere and
Exactly.
I can meditate with my eyes open. And my
Yes.
husband always comes in and said, "Are you done?" Just because my eyes are open.
Yeah,
And it's so cute. And I say, I'm done. I'm sort of done, but
yeah.
I'm talking to you, I'm
I
still
love driving
meditating.
in silence. My mind is
Yeah.
in busy driving. So I
Hmm.
can let my spirit wander and just go where it needs to wander and see what it needs to see. And I love that. And I think,
Well, you have self-driving cars now, so
but I'm still driving them. I'm not sure about those. You
I don't know.
know,
I just saw him on the road the other day. I was
yes,
like,
no,
ooh, I don't
yeah.
know.
They're still meant to have hands on the wheel. That there was a picture of one guy fast asleep as he's being driven.
Oh God. I don't know if I'll ever do that. It makes me
Well,
too nervous to be out of control.
it will be the norm in the future.
I
But
know, I
whether
know.
our future or not, I don't
Yes.
know. But it
Well,
will be.
certainly.
As well as obviously AI taking over a great deal. The one thing you will never see me doing is chipping myself, right? Because they talk about that a lot coming along, and
Oh,
it's like
chipping. Ah, yeah, yeah,
chipping,
yeah,
putting a
yeah,
chip in
yeah.
you. And
Aha.
no, sorry. We're already chipped enough with our phone and our computers, and I think that's as far as it's going to go. So, um, and I think something very important for people to learn on these journeys of life of coming from the inside out is that it's okay to look after yourself, the importance of you, not self-importance, but the
Mm-mm.
importance of you. And it's okay for you to say no to people and no to things.
Oh,
Again,
no is a sentence.
oh, no is a full sentence, full
Yes.
stop. I add a
Yeah.
thank you. No, thank you.
Yeah.
3 words, they mean it. Right? And it's okay to do that because we've been taught apologetic, and now, I really should do it because they're expecting it of me. But no, your gut said no. Listen to your gut, listen to your source, right? No. Otherwise, we end up in a
Mm.
hotel with more thefts, right? So that's the thing. Listen,
Oh,
listen in. So,
gosh. Hmm. Well, this
so
book is really it's been a love letter. It's really a
yeah.
love letter to all the women who have journeyed with me
Mm,
and all the women that are exploring life beyond the
yeah.
everyday.
And I
You
think for a
know,
lot of people who read the book that haven't done anything, you
hmm.
may not go trekking anywhere, but if it could have you even
No.
walking down the street with different observation, if
But
it,
even with your own tribe, just,
yes,
pick three of your favorite people.
Yes.
and go for a walk, go for a
Yes.
hike, and just be together and have meaningful conversation.
Yes.
You don't have to go on a trip.
No.
This is really about, like, I don't, this book is not about, please come on a trip with me.
Hmm.
I want you to do it on your own. I want you
Yeah.
to take a trip for yourself.
Yes.
It could be a weekend, it could be a day. Just be with your tribe.
Yes. It's important because you fuel each other. You
Mm-hmm.
hear each other, you feel for each other, and you fuel each other. And then that fortifies you for whatever else is to come.
Mm-hmm.
It's really important to
Yeah.
have that. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a love letter, your book, to the journeys that you've taken and the people that have journeyed with you,
Mm-hmm. It
which is
is.
very, very nice. And so,
Yes.
and again, that inspiration begets invitation. So it's an
Mm-hmm.
invitation for people once they've read it, is that yes, okay, I can't go on a big trek or I don't want to go on a big trek, but yes, I can take a walk with friends.
Yes, you can.
I can take a walk even with my dog and look at it
Yes.
differently. I'm not just walking the dog, I'm walking with the dog,
Mm.
right?
Well,
So
it's like having a drink.
yeah,
The drinking alone is, if their dog is there, you're not drinking alone.
exactly. Gonna
If
use
I'm
that
having
excuse.
a if I'm having a glass of wine, I have my look at my husband. I said, "But the dog was home."
Yes.
You know,
I'm not doing it alone.
I'm not drinking alone.
Exactly. I love it. Good to have that excuse. I've got to get myself a dog now.
Oh, it's so
Yeah.
nice to talk to you. You're
Oh,
so
great
you're
to
so
talk to you too.
wonderful.
And I
Such
want
a
people to
wonderful platform.
thank you. Well, again, done with love. So, it is get lost, lose yourself to find yourself. And that is something that's so important. And, by surrendering and allowing, you're allowing people to show you the path. You're allowing universe, God, universe, spirit, source, energy, whatever it is, you're allowing it to show you your path. And when you're willing to take that path in that sense of wonderment, sense of discovery, it reveals so much about yourself and so much about your possibilities. And then you start seeing opportunities
Hmm.
and you start seeing collaborations and community and everything else. It's just be willing to step out of your day-to-day norm and go
Hmm.
and do something that will be more fulfilling for yourself. Be a little adventurous.
Yes, let's all do that.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, I'd love every single day, get up. What does the day have for me? Thank you. You let me wake up. What's the wonderment of the day, right? And that's the important
Hmm.
thing. Keep wonderment in your heart. And if you've forgotten how to do that, watch a puppy dog chasing a stick. Watch a kid running down, on the bicycle or doing something. Listen to the trees. They're rustling their leaves and they're talking to you. The ocean against the shore. There's always something there to engage you. So open
Hmm.
up and be engaging.
Yeah.
How do
It's like
people
Mary
get along?
Oliver, like Mary Oliver is like, what are you going to do with your one wild and crazy life?
Yes, exactly. What are we going to do with it? Are we going to be humanoids or sheeple and bar our way through life? Or are we going to be a
No.
little adventurous and a sense of discovery? Because we sell ourselves short when we live to what quote people call the norm, which there is no norm. We're just extraordinary people waiting to discover ourselves. So be
Yes.
extraordinary, step into it. Now,
Yay.
how did they get the book? How did they reach you? What are your social medias on your site, love?
Well, my website is www.stattrip.com, STATTRIP.com. It's my website. You can buy my book there. You can contact me there. I'm happy to connect with anybody. I'm happy to give a chat, have a meaningful conversation. My social media is also Stat Trip on Instagram, on Facebook, and LinkedIn.
Great. And I always think that giving a book is a wonderful gift and a
Oh,
gift
I'm
that keeps on
happy.
giving.
I'm happy
Yes.
to, even if you contact me and you want me to send you a signed copy, I'm so
Yeah.
happy to do that. Just send
Yeah.
me your address and let's have a conversation.
Exactly. As I said, I have the one genre, the author's kiss, and it is about that kiss of what's in the book. It's a hug, it's a sense of love.
Mm,
And if you know somebody right now that's going through transition, or you want, I would love so and so just to start us doing something. Give them the
hmm
book. All
mm,
right. And then sit down and have a little a book club about it when you go for a walk and pop in somewhere for a
Mm.
cup of coffee and talk about what it's doing for you, right? Be
By the
engaged.
way, I just did the audio.
Oh,
And
great.
so if you want to spend 6.5 hours with me, you can listen to the audio because I actually had to audition for my own audiobook. They said, yes, we'd love to buy your audiobook and we'll get somebody to read it. And I said, no, 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 no. I'd love to read my own story.
Mm.
And they said, well, send us 2 chapters and we'll decide. And they obviously decided I was okay to read my own audiobook.
I
So,
will admit, I've got our Forgotten Children. We're in the audio process right now, and some people have put their chapters, and
mhm,
AI is going to do the other, take their voice and do the other. But yes,
mhm.
you do have some people who do not have the audio voice, and
Exactly,
so
exactly.
and
I
then
understand that.
and so yes, it's about the rhythm and the flow. And you've got a
Mhm.
lovely speaking voice, so I can see why they wouldn't
Oh,
have
thank
any
you.
problem with it. So and that is while you're walking down that street or walking along the beachfront or in the woods, listening to the book at the same time, and then kind of being stimulated by the stories and paying attention along the way. What a beautiful way to do it.
It was
So,
fun to do.
yeah. So, folks,
Mm.
get the book, okay? Get lost. Lose yourself to find yourself. And she's not being rude.
I
So,
actually have a hat that I wear all the time. It says "Get Lost," and
my
everyone passes me and go, "Oh, I like that hat."
Yes, exactly. And we do need to get lost in order to find ourselves. We can't find ourselves while we're in the chaos. So we need to get lost in the ether of life in order to find ourselves. So, be
Mm.
willing to shake ourselves up and see what drops, right? So, thank you so much for being with us here today. Folks, go and buy the book, read the book, share the book, form a book club. Remember, I talk about podcast clubs too. Listen to a podcast, come together and talk about what each one of you got from it. And now you've got a nice big whole picture. There's a reason why these clubs are so important because you're sharing perspectives and different points of view, and then you ignite in each other what to do. So it's important to do that. So thank you so much, Erin. And to everyone else out there, politely, I'm telling you to get lost so you can
Mm.
find yourself. Bye for
Thank
now.
you, Sarah.
My pleasure. Thank you. We hope that you enjoyed the show. There are so many more for you here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. Just go to the podcast tag at the top there and you will see all the many genres and all 3,000 shows ready for your listening. We are here to serve you, to help you on your journey of life, and we know that through inspiration it begets invitation. We are supported by you, the listeners, and those that we interview. Anything that you can spare us in donation would be greatly accepted, and we do hope that you enjoy the next show.